live on your tablet, phone, and the KUTV app. This is 2 News Live.
Thanks for joining us on 2 News Live. I'm Brian Schnee. Great to be with you on this fine Wednesday, September the 13th. We're going to go in depth tonight on a case that we've been following here involving Ruby Franke and Jody Hildebrandt. Maybe you've heard of this one. Well, I have some brand new court documents. We just got into our newsroom a few minutes ago. An updated status hearing featuring both Ruby and Jody will be now on Monday in St. George in Washington County. Same courtroom, same judge, same time frame. We will be there. We will cover it for you here at KUTV2 News. But again, that has been moved up to Monday, originally from the 21st. As we go in depth tonight, you can always get in touch with us throughout the show. Use the hashtag 2NewsLive to join the conversation. It's easy. Just use that hashtag. You can also find us Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Any of those locations is where you can find me personally. Send a message to any of those platforms to weigh in. The sister of Ruby Franke is making headlines after she posted a video on her own YouTube channel trying to distance herself from her sister. She claims she had no idea what was happening inside of her sister's home or at Connection's classroom. Franke's sister posted that video on YouTube explaining why she hadn't spoken to Franke and her business partner Jody Hildebrandt until now. Paul Nelson with the scoop joins us live now. Paul, it was a long video. What did she have to say?
Well, you're right. It was about 10 minutes long. It was a very emotional video where she ended the whole thing by saying, I am not my sister. I am not my sister's crimes. But basically, one of the main things that she wanted to point out was how she had not spoken to her sister, Ruby Franke, in years. And so a lot of the allegations that are coming out now, she did not know, according to her in this video, that about all of the abuse that was happening, not just in the Franke home, but also with Classroom Connections. She says that what she reconnected with other family members and started learning little by little about what was happening. However, when it comes to the main abuse that is alleged that happened there, she said she did not know what was going on, and that's why she stayed silent about it on her YouTube channel for as long as she did. But she did mention that was actually her second video that she posted, kind of addressing the whole thing. The first one that she posted was actually taken down, but she did say in that first one that she believes that the arrests of Jody Hildebrandt and Ruby Franke were absolutely necessary, and taking care of the kids was also the first priority.
Paul Nelson joining us live here on 2 News Live. Paul, I know you attempted to try to get in touch with this sister today, right? What steps did you take to try to hear her side of things? I know obviously she puts this long form video out. As you and I discussed, it's edited, right? There are clear jump cuts in between. Doesn't take away from the emotion and what she's saying, but what did you try to do to get in touch with her today to get a little bit more of her take?
Well, we did go on Facebook Messenger. We also tried calling, texting, and matter of fact, we have her address and we knocked on the door. All of those attempts that we made in order to get in contact with her just did not work, and we have not heard back from her, nor have we heard back from Ruby Franke's attorneys down in southern Utah. However, one thing that she did mention is that because she didn't know about this, and there were some actual other accusations that have come out from Franke and Hildebrandt over the past couple of years over social media, and she never responded to those. The sister's name is Bonnie Holeen, by the way. Holeen never responded to those because at first it didn't really make a whole lot of sense, but now she says that the family is receiving a whole lot of backlash. Her mother is taking it especially hard, and she says she actually never agreed with how strict her sister was, and so she believes that the arrests were absolutely justified.
Paul Nelson continuing to look for avenues and coverage in this case. Paul, we appreciate you. Thanks for joining us on 2 News Live again. New tonight, and for the very first time, we're hearing from someone who created YouTube content with Ruby Franke and her family. We spoke today about experiences involving Franke, her siblings, and members of that friend group. Keep in mind here, a lot of allegations. We're continuing to learn more about the situation each day. Today I spoke with a man who was described as in a previous report as an ex-Franke family friend. Here's his account on where things stand and his experiences with that family. Can you describe your relationship with that family over the years?
So with Ruby and the Frankies specifically, it's just acquaintances. I mostly knew the greater family with the siblings and the in-laws and that whole culture because they all work together and click together like as a whole unit as Mormon family vloggers.
And again, that was in the state of Utah, correct?
Yeah, so when we started to do family vlogging ourselves, we met them at YouTube conventions. And then when we moved down to Southern Utah, several of Ruby's family came down, collaborated with us, and one of them even moved down. And that's when we got to know them a lot better and started going to meet them and see them behind the scenes at private parties and see what they're really like.
Right now, a couple of child abuse charges against Ruby and her business partner, Jody Hildebrandt. What do you make of those charges?
Honestly, it doesn't surprise me. While I wasn't aware of any overt abuse allegations like that are coming out now about Ruby. I think that a lot of people remember going back 4 or 5 years ago that it was Bonnie who was in the middle of a lot of attention and even had to go to YouTube headquarters and try to explain herself, because a lot of her YouTube content showed her children having bloody noses and split lips, getting stitches and broken arms and fingers, and going to the hospital frequently, as though it was a form of clickbait to try and get views to their content. And it created an entire division on YouTube where ultimately they had to split from YouTube Kids to YouTube for Adults. And it affected a lot of content creators and should have stopped this. But apparently what you see on camera is not what you always have going on behind the scenes.
To elaborate on that, what Ruby did we see on camera versus the Ruby that maybe you saw when the camera wasn't rolling?
I think that out in public and socially, unless you see them in a personal situation, like at a party or when they feel like they can let their guard down, what you're seeing on camera is a totally different person and a totally different life. There's an agenda to try and portray themselves as upstanding Mormons and to have that persona, and they feel like it's fulfilling who they are and their purpose in life and everything. And so I think that creates a pressure cooker situation where they're willing to live a double life and hide a lot of generational family secrets. And we see that with Ruby, coming out right when she gets caught with all of this and accused, blaming her kids and throwing them under the bus for the abuse, instead of realizing who the adult parents are in the situation that are supposed to be home all day 24/7 as family vloggers supervising all of this. I think the end of my marriage all began when our family started associating with Ruby's siblings, and when all of this behind the scenes stuff went on, it really compromised my marriage. And the same pattern that you see playing out in some of these other families happened to me. And I'm not the only one that knew this family and met them and then ended up divorced about a year later under a similar pattern.
Have you ever had a conversation with Ruby that stuck out to you in any way?
The one conversation that I personally had back and forth with her was very strange, and she was kind of portraying out different beliefs and ideals and trying to give advice about what we should do with our YouTube channel and things like that. And I actually had kind of an awkward disagreement and argument with her at a restaurant over dinner, where I disagreed with her parenting styles and some of the things that she said in the conversation about the church. And I basically defended my reasons for leaving the church and that it wasn't going to hurt my kids.
Have you ever had any conversations with her husband, and where do you think he fits into all of this?
I never really met him. He was always, whenever they were around, he was either never there or just kind of like hanging out in the background, very quiet.
All right, if you'd like to get caught up with all of our past reporting, interviews, everything, former clients, family members, head to our YouTube page, KUTV 2 News, and you can find a playlist there, 8 Passengers it's labeled because of Ruby's old YouTube channel. You can find a playlist there and see a lot of this content, including, of course, that conversation I had with Jody Hildebrandt's niece that a lot of you have seen. I know it's definitely been circulating and making the rounds with Jesse Hildebrandt. Very insightful there about some perspective on part of the allegations. You can check it out there on our YouTube channel. Let's get to meteorologist Chase Thomason here and some breaking news, if you will, right into our newsroom involving a weather-related event here in Kane County.
Yeah, in Kanab, this is Main Street, I believe, in US 89, basically the main thoroughfare through Kanab. You can see a lot of water, but we were seeing a lot of cleanup. There's a lot of mud, a little bit of debris, which has closed the road. So this might impact your travel if you're going through the area, but definitely seeing a lot of water. Hopefully we're not seeing any damage, but a lot of water going through some of these businesses, I'm sure.
All right, well, we'll keep an eye on this. Of course, I'd imagine we'll have a look coming up on 2 News at 6 as well. And we'll keep an eye on the cleanup. You can actually see tractors out here working to push some of that mud and debris away. Obviously, law enforcement presence out there kind of on the main drag in Kanab. If you're watching, of course, we would love to see the pictures. Do it safely. There's weather moving through certain parts of the state, so if you're seeing it, please share it with us.
And pockets of heavy rain. Not everyone's seeing heavy rainfall, but let's get right to radar where we do have some flash flood warnings rather, in southern Utah. This does include Hilldale and Colorado City. These storms have just been producing a lot of heavy rain, and they're not really moving. It's what we call training, where they kind of just back build like a train, and they just produce tons of water over a short period of time, which leads to flash flooding. If we get rid of this banner, we'll show you that flash flood warning here in just a moment, but that is near the Arizona-Utah border near Hilldale and Colorado City. But you can see where we've had heavy rainfall even in Kanab. St. George not seeing a whole lot, few storms just to your southwest. We also have some heavier rainfall approaching northern Washington County, and a few storms across south central Utah. Escalante, flash flood warning continues for a few more minutes towards Capitol Reef. The heaviest rain has ended, but more heavy rain is moving in. So please stay out of those slot canyons, those normally dry washes. Rivers and streams could be running high and fast. It might not be raining exactly where you are, but if it's raining just a few miles away, all that water could be coming down, and it could be very dangerous. We have a few isolated showers around Price, mainly in the mountains, and a few storms now exiting the Uinta Basin, but we've had some light rain. Northern Utah seeing isolated showers at the moment. Nothing too heavy, but we've had a little bit of rain towards Tremonton, Brigham City, and trying to push into Ogden. This is what we call an outflow boundary. We have some pretty gusty winds coming out of some of these thunderstorms that's impacting the northern end of the Wasatch Front. So a few raindrops out there that will likely continue for a few more hours, and some gusty winds. The heaviest rainfall will be across portions of southern Utah and in the mountains. But again, it's not widespread. As we head into tonight, pretty quiet along the Wasatch Front. There could be some lingering light showers overnight in central and southern Utah. As we head into tomorrow, the best chance for storms will be across southern and eastern Utah. Right now, most of northern Utah should stay dry, but there might be a couple pop-up thunderstorms in the mountains east of I-15. So our storms are going to be leaving us as we wrap up the work week, and then just in time for the weekend, big ridge of high pressure settles in, looks very sunny. You can make those outdoor plans, and a little bit warmer as we head into Saturday and Sunday. But stay tuned. There could be something coming our way by the middle of next week. There's still a lot of uncertainty, definitely going to be windy, and maybe a big drop in those temperatures, feeling more like fall. St. George, upper 80s for the next few days. Dry over the weekend, will be in the 90s, really comfortable. Overnight lows in the low 60s, and then it gets a little windy by Tuesday and Wednesday. Salt Lake, we are hovering near 80 degrees. Should stay dry for your Thursday and Friday. Mid 80s over the weekend. Overnight lows in the upper 50s. The Weber State Utah game is going to be perfect. Oktoberfest going on. Upper 60s at Snowbird. Get outside and enjoy it, or do some yard work. I'm sure I'll be doing that. By next week, a little bit cooler into the mid 70s, and it could be a little bit cooler than that by either Wednesday or Thursday of next week. So stay tuned.
Goodness, way to give away your weekend plans there, Chase, doing the yard work.
Always something, right?
Yeah. We'll keep an eye on this situation here in Kanab and Kane County. Yep. Obviously, you had the warnings out there for the Hilldale, Colorado City area.
And Capitol Reef. Yep.
And Capitol Reef. They put that out a couple hours ago, too, trying to see if we can see what that looks like, because that Fruita campground area just seems to be a bad spot in terms of this water moving through. So they move people to the higher ground and such. So we'll keep an eye on all that. Thank you, Chase. Remember to download our 2 News weather app to know about those changes in your neighborhood. You can get updated forecasts and live radar right at the palm of your hand. This is a great app. If you are going to be on the move, be sure to download the 2 News weather app today. All right, let's go in depth on another topic that we've talked about a lot already. It's on our website. A lot of you are clicking it. Senator Mitt Romney says he will not run for re-election. We've been waiting kind of for the clarification, if you will, if he's going to continue on with his political career in this standpoint. Keep in mind he's in office for a while still, 2025. Heidi Hatch is here. I have to say her name because it's not every day. It's not every day you're on 2 News Live, so it's cool to have you. What do you make of today's announcement?
Well, this is something we've been waiting a long time for, this announcement to come. I remember last November, December, people are like, okay, as soon as we're back from the holiday break, that's when he's going to announce. And then after that didn't happen, it was going to be like, okay, spring, then summer. And then last time we heard from him, he said fall. He actually beat us to fall, because it's not another week and a half till we actually make it to fall. But it seems like all the signs were starting to point in the direction that he would not be running. When you look at how much money that Utah House Speaker Brad Wilson has fundraised, there's only so much money to go around, and where he was fundraising from was some of the same pots that you'd see Senator Mitt Romney going from. And interestingly enough, when he made his last FEC filing, you could see that he was starting to sell off some of his voter information, not voter, but donor information. And so if you've run campaigns before, you get a pretty good long list of people who donate towards campaigns. And when you start selling that off, there is an indication most times that you're not going to be running again, because you wouldn't want to share that with others if you're going to be running. Although Mitt Romney, of anyone, could probably sell it off and still pull off a possible win. But that was the question. It was possible. Even
if you don't know politics, is kind of a household name, right?
Yeah.
I mean, everyone kind of knows Mitt for whatever it be, whether it be Governor Mitt, presidential candidate Mitt, or, you know, obviously in his current role here in Utah. I think it's really interesting that he spoke openly, as he has a lot lately, but openly about age. Openly about a topic you have talked about, I think, on social media, openly on a topic that we've seen unfold in front of our very eyes with Mitch McConnell, even some allegations against our own president right now, and questions of what should we be doing. He used that as a main factor to say, I'm done.
Yeah, and I think there's probably always multiple factors behind the scenes that they don't tell us. They tell us what you want to hear. But yeah, he's 76. He would be in his mid-80s by the time he was done with this next round. So that's getting up there in years. I think he said his father lived to 88. And the question was, you know, how many years do you have left that are good? Do you want to spend them with your family or with others? But it really has been something that we've all been talking about, because we're looking at Dianne Feinstein, as you said, Mitch McConnell, and others, although he actually did recently say that he supports Mitch McConnell. He's doing a great job. So, you know, he could have gone either way with that, saying, you know, with age comes wisdom. But he is stepping away. It opens the race to what will be an interesting race here in Utah, because a few years ago we didn't have primaries. Now when it's open, you can have, you know, 6, 7, 8, 9 people running, and the question is, who will run for that seat now? And I think there's going to be an interesting spectrum all the way from, you know, center right to far right. And it'll be interesting to see how many people want in on this.
Just quickly before you go, obviously some folks will come out now and say, oh, great job, Senator, for all you've done, or whatnot. We've already heard in a very, very almost copy and paste sort of format from Senator Mike Lee of go enjoy time with your family. What do you make of just some of the early reaction from folks about Senator Romney putting this out today?
A lot of it's complimentary, but at the same time, there's complimentary and, hey, I might run for your seat. John Curtis, representative, saying that he's had people saying maybe he should run.
Yeah, that was interesting.
He says, congratulations, and I may be a representative or senator in the future. Other people to watch, Sean Reyes, Utah Attorney General, coming out today saying, I won't run for that seat, but he said he's going to back someone, and in political circles, there's rumors that Tim Ballard of Our Rescue might be running, and it seems that if Sean Reyes were to back someone, he's pretty tight with him. That may happen. Robert O'Brien, if you remember him, he was national security advisor to President Trump. There's a possibility his name may be in the mix. Does Becky Edwards call it quits, or is she like in the running mood and runs as well? So there's a lot of names being bandied around, and I'm guessing waiting to see what Romney would do. So lots of family meetings right now. Should I do it? Should I not? Is it in our best interest? Should I sit down? All that going on.
Can only wonder what Riverton Mayor Trent Staggs is up to today.
Yeah, he's already in it, though. He's the only official announced, and while Brad Wilson says he has an exploratory committee, he's raised a lot of money, and that says to me he's in it to win it.
All right, well, a lot will, you know, unfold here within the next year.
It won't be boring.
No, there's so much, because this is not until January 2025 where he exits that seat, so there's still a lot of conversations to be had.
But the race is on.
The race is on. Thanks for watching 2 News Live. Thank you for being here.
Thanks
this was a lot of fun. We're back tomorrow. We're here Monday through Friday at 5:30, going in depth on all sorts of things. We gave you a twofer today. Have a great Wednesday. See you tomorrow.